Look closely at the man sitting in this cold gray room. 20-year-old Justin Hooker looks like any other kid his age. He's leaning back, breathing steadily, even joking with the detectives. He thinks he's won. He thinks the secret he buried near the Konasaga River will stay underwater forever. But what Justin doesn't know is that the walls are already closing in. This isn't just an interview. It's the beginning of a 30-year nightmare. It started with a grisly discovery. A fisherman looking for a quiet spot near the bridge found something that didn't belong in the water. The body of 27-year-old Kenny Bunn. He had been executed. Small caliber bullets, a .22 revolver, had ended his life in the dark of the night. At first, there was no witness, no cameras, no fingerprints. Justin and his girlfriend, Nadia Schwarz, believed they had committed the perfect crime. They went home, watched movies, and celebrated their anniversary. While Kenny's family was beginning a lifetime of grief. Watch Justin's face as the detectives enter. He's overconfident. He's volunteering information before they even ask. This is a classic trait of a narcissist. He tells them he saw a crime scene at the bridge while driving by. He's trying to insert himself into the investigation to see what the police know. But look at his eyes. They are scanning the room, searching for a way out. The detectives play along. They offer him water. They act like his friends. This is the interrogator's playbook in action. Make the killer feel safe, and he will start to talk. And once Justin starts talking, he won't be able to stop until he hangs himself with his own lies. Now let's shift the focus. While Justin is playing cool in one room, his girlfriend Nadia is unraveling in another. Look at her. She's young, seemingly fragile. She immediately starts talking about her past with the victim, Kenny. She paints a picture of a monster, a man who held a knife to her throat, a man who threatened her dog. She's trying to build a self-defense narrative before the police even charge her. This is a red flag for investigators. Why provide an excuse if you claim you weren't there? Nadia thinks she's the director of this movie, but she's actually writing her own confession. But here is where the story falls apart. Nadia told the police she dropped Kenny off at a gas station and he just walked away. A simple story, right? Wrong. Detectives pulled the CCTV footage from that very station. What they saw changed everything. It didn't show Kenny walking away. It showed Nadia and Justin together, and it showed Kenny getting back into the car with them. This was the last time Kenny Bunn was seen alive. The perfect alibi was destroyed by a grainy security camera. Now, watch as the investigators go back to Justin, armed with the truth, ready to break his arrogance. Back in the room with Justin. The air is starting to feel heavy. The detectives are still smiling, still offering him water, but the questions are getting sharper. They ask him about his Saturday. They ask him about his anniversary. Justin is giving them a timeline that feels scripted. He says he was watching movies, staying home. But his eyes? Look at how they dart to the corner of the room every time a new name is mentioned. He's trying to remember the lies he told Nadia, hoping their stories match. He doesn't know that the detectives have already spent hours pulling his life apart while he was sleeping. Then, the lead investigator drops a name. Kevin, Justin's cousin. Notice the physical change in Justin. He shifts in his chair. He stops leaning back. This is the first time we see his confidence waver. The detective asks if he's bought any protection lately. Justin tries to play it down. Maybe a shotgun a long time ago, he says. But the detective knows. He has a statement from Kevin that says otherwise. A statement about a .22 caliber Heritage Rough Rider revolver. Black, shiny with a wooden handle. Bought just 24 hours before Kenny Bunn was found dead. The trap is set, and Justin is walking straight into it. The detective leans in closer. He isn't asking general questions anymore. He's looking for specifics. He asks Justin about the finish on the gun. Was it shiny? Was it dull? What did the handle feel like? Justin is trapped in a mental maze. He admits to buying a .22 revolver from his cousin Kevin, but he tries to push the timeline back. A week ago, maybe a week and a half, he stammers. He's trying to create distance between the purchase and the murder. But look at his hands. They are no longer still. He's rubbing his knees, a classic self-soothing gesture used when a person is under extreme psychological stress. He's trying to calm his racing heart, but the detective is just getting started. Then comes the killing blow to his story. Justin claims he already sold the gun to a random 40-year-old man at his apartment complex. He won't give a name. He won't give a description. He says he didn't want to get his buddy in trouble. But the detective doesn't blink. He knows that Justin didn't sell that gun. He knows that Justin didn't buy it a week ago. He has the receipts. He has the testimony from Kevin confirming the sale happened on Saturday, the very day before the body was found. Every word Justin says is being recorded, not just as a statement, but as a nail in his own coffin. The protection he bought wasn't for his safety. It was for an execution. And now that same piece of cold steel is what's going to put him away. The air in the room just got colder. The detective leans forward, his voice calm but lethal. "Justin," he says, "I'm not here to play games." He tells Justin straight to his face that he has already talked to Kevin. He has already talked to James, Justin's brother. The alibi of being at his brother's house is gone. The story about buying the gun weeks ago is dead. Look at Justin's throat. You can see him swallowing hard. His brain is frantically trying to build a new wall, a new lie, but there are no bricks left. He is standing naked in front of the truth, and for the first time, the overconfident killer realizes he is the one being hunted. This is the moment of the body betrayal. Interrogators look for these signs. Justin starts touching his face, hiding his mouth, a subconscious gesture of someone who is afraid of what they might say next. The detective tells him, "I know what happened at the bridge. I know you and Nadia went back to get the cell phone." Justin's eyes go wide. How could they know? They know because in a digital world, there are no secrets. Every text, every cell tower ping, and every statement from his own family is pointing a finger at him. He thought he was the smartest person in the room, but he's just a 20-year-old kid who's about to lose the rest of his life. The pressure in the room is now unbearable. The detective isn't just asking questions. He's presenting a finality that Justin wasn't prepared for. He mentions the cell phone. He mentions the bridge. He mentions the statements from everyone Justin thought would protect him. Watch Justin's posture. He's no longer the arrogant kid from the beginning of the tape. He's shrinking. He's looking at the floor, unable to meet the detective's gaze. His mind is spinning, trying to find one last exit. But every door he tries is locked from the outside. The reality of a life behind bars is no longer a ghost. It's standing right in front of him. And then the body takes over where the mind failed. This is what investigators call the physiological collapse. Justin's breathing starts to change. It's shallow, rapid. He starts complaining that he can't see straight. His heart is hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. He's having a full-blown panic attack. Is it guilt? Or is it the sheer terror of being caught? He asks for a lawyer, the final white flag of a guilty man. But even as he shuts down, the silence in the room speaks louder than any confession. The facade has crumbled, and all that's left is a terrified young man who realized too late that the perfect crime was nothing but a fatal. While Justin is struggling to breathe in one room, across the hall, the silence is being broken by a very different sound. The sound of Nadia Schwarz talking. She isn't having a panic attack. She isn't asking for a lawyer. She's doing something much more dangerous. She's telling a story. Look at her face. The tears seem real. The fear seems genuine. But listen to her words. She's no longer the loyal girlfriend. She's a survivor. And in her version of the story, Justin is no longer the man she loves. He's the monster who pulled the trigger. She's throwing him under the bus to save her own skin, and she's doing it with chilling precision. And then, the bombshell. Nadia reveals the secret that changes the entire investigation. She tells the detectives that on that dark night near the bridge, Kenny Bunn wasn't alone in the car with her. Justin was there too, but he wasn't in the passenger seat. He was hiding, crouched down in the back seat, a ghost in the shadows that Kenny never saw coming. Imagine the terror. Kenny thinks he's just talking to his ex-girlfriend, while inches behind his head, Justin is waiting with a .22 revolver in his hand. Nadia paints the picture of a cold-blooded execution, and with every detail she gives, she's locking the cell door on Justin Hooker for the next 30 years. Then, the detail that chills the blood. Nadia describes the shots. One in the stomach, one in the head, a double tap. Not the panicked reaction of a scared kid, but the calculated finish of an executioner. She says Justin fired so Kenny would drop the stick. But the autopsy tells a different story. Kenny wasn't a threat. He was a target. As Nadia talks, she's inadvertently revealing the dark fascination she has with the act of killing. She's not just a witness. She's the one who brought these two men together in the dark. She's the one who whispered in Justin's ear that Kenny had to die. And as the investigators listen, they realize they aren't just looking at a scared girl. They're looking at the mastermind behind a cold-blooded murder. Nadia thought her secrets were safe behind a screen, but in the modern world, deleted messages are just ghosts waiting to be summoned. Investigators began digging into her phone, and what they found wasn't a scared girl. It was a strategist. They found a dark fascination with death, an obsession with how to commit the perfect murder. Nadia wasn't just dating Justin. She was grooming him. She was feeding him stories of Kenny's abuse, stoking a fire of protective rage in a 20-year-old boy. She manipulated his love, his loyalty, and his youth, turning a delivery driver into an executioner. The messages revealed a cold, calculated plan that had been brewing for weeks. But the manipulation didn't stop there. While she was telling Justin that Kenny had to die, she was still texting Kenny. She was stringing him along, promising him a chance at getting back together, lures him to that bridge on a false hope. She played these two men against each other like pieces on a chessboard. To Kenny, she was the ex who might come back. To Justin, she was the victim who needed saving. Neither man knew that they were both being led to a slaughter. When the investigators confronted her with these messages, the fragile girl facade didn't just crack, it shattered. The hunter had become the hunted, trapped by the very technology she thought she controlled. The game is over. The room that once felt like a place for conversation is now a cage. Justin and Nadia, the two lovers who thought they were smarter than the system, are now facing the cold, hard reality of their choices. All the lies, the panic attacks, and the scripted tears couldn't wash away the blood of Kenny Bunn. The evidence was overwhelming. The .22 revolver, the CCTV footage, and most importantly, their own digital ghosts. They didn't just kill Kenny, they killed their own futures. In their quest for a perfect crime, they left a trail of destruction that led straight back to their own doorstep. When the judge's gavel finally hit the wood, it echoed like the shots fired at the bridge. 30 years, that is the price of their cold-blooded execution. 30 years in a concrete cell for a murder that didn't need to happen. As they were led away in handcuffs, the arrogance was gone. The overconfident killer and the mastermind were reduced to just two more numbers in the prison system. Kenny Bunn is gone, leaving a family shattered, and Justin and Nadia will spend the best years of their lives behind bars, haunted by the memory of a dark night at the Konosaga River. The perfect crime. It was nothing more than a 30-year death sentence. Take one last look at Justin and Nadia. The arrogance that filled that interrogation room on day one has evaporated. In its place is the heavy, suffocating weight of reality. Nadia who thought she could manipulate the police as easily as she manipulated Justin, is now just another face in a sea of orange jumpsuits. Justin, the boy who bought a gun for protection, has realized that the only person he needed protection from was the girl sitting next to him. They didn't just plan a murder, they planned their own disappearance from the world for the next 3 decades. As the prison doors slam shut, the story of Kenny Bunn comes to a tragic close. A life taken for no reason, a family left with a hole that can never be filled, and 2 young lives wasted in pursuit of a perfect crime that never existed. In the end, there was no winner at the Konosaga River. Only victims and the cold, hard walls of a cell that will be their home until they are middle-aged. The cameras are off, the interrogators have gone home, and for Justin and Nadia, the silence is just beginning. A silence that will last for 30 years. Thanks for watching. This is George, and this was the Interrogator's Playbook. The detective stands up, walks out, and the heavy steel door clicks shut. Now Justin is truly alone. Watch him in these moments of silence. This is where the mask completely falls off. There's no one to perform for, no one to lie to. He isn't crying for Kenny. He isn't praying. He's staring at the gray walls, realizing that this small windowless room is a preview of the next 3 decades of his life. He reaches for the water cup, but his hands are shaking so violently, he can barely hold it. This is the weight of a conscience that just realized it can't escape. In the silence of the interrogation room, the echoes of the gunshots at the bridge are the only thing he can hear. Now, look at Nadia. While Justin is staring at the walls, she is trying a different tactic. She starts breathing heavily, leaning her head against the cold metal table. She's trying to convince the detectives that she's having a medical emergency. This is a common psychological defense mechanism. If I'm too sick to talk, you can't blame me. But watch the female investigator's face. She isn't buying it. She's seen this 1,000 times. She offers Nadia water, but doesn't stop the pressure. She knows that Nadia's collapse is just another layer of the mask. Behind those closed eyes, Nadia is calculating her next move, wondering if the story she told about the self-defense was enough to keep her out of a cage. It's a desperate performance by a woman who knows the truth is finally catching up to her. While Justin and Nadia were busy cleaning their stories, they forgot one thing. Blood never stays hidden. The detectives present the physical evidence. They found the clothes Justin wore that night. He thought he washed them well enough, but luminol doesn't lie. Under the blue light, the shirt started to scream. Small microscopic droplets of Kenny's blood were embedded in the fabric. This is impact spatter. It only happens when you're standing inches away from the source. It's the final nail. Justin can say he was at his brother's. He can say he was at the gas station, but he can't explain why the victim's DNA is woven into his very clothes. The physical world has betrayed the digital lie. The cold interrogation room is about to witness its most painful moment. The door opens, but it's not the detectives. It's Justin's family. Watch his mother's face. She is looking at her son, the boy she raised, but she's also looking at a murderer. The silence is broken by sobs that echo off the gray walls. Justin can't look her in the eye. He's slumped over, a shadow of the arrogant man who walked in hours ago. In this moment, the reality of 30 years isn't just a number on a legal document. It's the realization that he will miss every birthday, every holiday, and every milestone. He's still alive, but for his family, the son they knew died the moment he pulled that trigger at the bridge. Now, let's look at the other side of the hallway. Nadia has just been told that Justin is talking. The man she thought she could control, the boy she used as her weapon, is finally breaking. Watch her reaction. It isn't sadness, it isn't regret. It's pure, cold calculation. She realizes that the self-defense story she spent hours building is being dismantled, word by word, by the very person who pulled the trigger for her. This is the moment the power couple becomes two desperate strangers fighting for a shorter sentence. The love that led them to that bridge was never real. It was a suicide pact built on lies, and now the foundation is crumbling under the weight of the truth. Nadia told the detectives she was just a terrified witness. She said she never touched the weapon, but the lab results just came back, and they tell a much darker story. On the very magazine of the .22 revolver, they found a partial print. It wasn't Justin's, it was Nadia's. This wasn't just a girl watching a crime. This was a woman who had handled the gun, perhaps even loaded the very bullets that would end Kenny's life. When the detective drops this information, watch Nadia's face. The innocent girl act vanishes. She realizes that her DNA is literally fused with the murder weapon. She didn't just point the finger, she helped prepare the tool for the execution. Nadia and Justin thought the Konosaga River would keep their secrets forever. They took Kenny's phone and threw it into the dark, rushing water, thinking that without the device, there would be no digital trail. But they underestimated the determination of the investigators. A specialized dive team spent hours scouring the riverbed until they found it, a small piece of plastic and metal that held the key to the entire murder. Even after being submerged, the data was recovered. The texts, the GPS locations, the final frantic calls. It was all there. The perfect alibi was literally pulled from the mud, and with it, the final hope of escaping a life sentence. As the detective presents the evidence from the river, Nadia's composure doesn't just crack, it shatters. The sophisticated strategist who planned a murder is gone. In her place is a terrified 20-year-old girl who realizes her life is over. She starts sobbing, but it's not for Kenny. It's for herself. She cries out for her mother, a primal plea for help that no one in this room can answer. The detectives don't move. They don't offer comfort. They just watch. Because they know that while she's crying for her mother, Kenny Bunn's mother is at home, waiting for a son who will never come back. The cold reality of justice is finally sinking in, and there is no escape. Listen to the silence in the courtroom as the judge speaks. 30 years. It's a number that sounds small until you realize what it actually means. For Justin and Nadia, it means their entire youth is gone. No graduation, no career, no family of their own. They walked into that bridge as teenagers seeking a thrill, and they will walk out of prison as middle-aged strangers to the world. Watch Justin's reaction, or rather his lack of it. He's frozen. The adrenaline of the interrogation is gone, replaced by the cold, heavy reality of the Department of Corrections. He thought he was playing a game, but the game just ended with a life sentence in slow motion. Now look at Nadia, the girl who whispered the plan into Justin's ear. As the handcuffs are tightened for the final time, she finally breaks. But is it remorse for Kenny? Or is it the realization that she failed to manipulate the system? She spent hours trying to play the victim, trying to paint Kenny as the monster. But as she is led away, the only monster in the room is the reflection in the mirror. She thought she was the director of this tragedy, but she ended up being its biggest casualty. The letters she wrote, the texts she sent, they are now the bars of her cage. The innocent act is officially over. The cell door slams shut, and the noise echoes for what feels like an eternity. Now Justin and Nadia are no longer a couple. They are two separate prisoners in two separate worlds. In the quiet of the night, when the prison guards are the only ones awake, they are left with nothing but their own thoughts. Does Justin regret listening to her? Does Nadia regret pulling him into her dark fantasy? Every morning for the next 10,000 days, they will wake up to the same gray ceiling, knowing that they chose this. They chose to trade a human life for a moment of power, and the price they paid was their own existence. The world outside will move on, the seasons will change, but for them, time stopped at that bridge. But let's not forget the person whose story was cut short. Kenny Bunn. A son, a friend, a young man who thought he was just meeting an ex-girlfriend for a talk. He didn't know he was walking into an execution. While Justin and Nadia have 30 years to think about what they did, Kenny's family has a lifetime to wonder what he could have become. This isn't just a story about a crime. It's a warning about the darkness that can hide behind a familiar face. Justice was served, but it can't bring Kenny back. As the screen fades to black, remember, the perfect crime is a myth, and the truth has a way of rising from the deepest water. I'm George, and this was the Interrogator's Playbook. Until next time. Let's look at Nadia again. Not as a suspect, but as a puppeteer. Psychologists call this triangulation. She created a triangle between her, Kenny, and Justin. She fed Justin a version of Kenny that was pure evil, making herself the damsel in distress. She knew that by making Justin her protector, she could make him her weapon. It's a classic move used by narcissists. Find someone young, loyal, and a bit insecure, and give them a mission. For Justin, the mission was saving Nadia. He didn't realize he was just a tool being used to erase a past she didn't want anymore. He wasn't a boyfriend. He was a hitman in training. Why did they think they would get away with it? It's the arrogance of youth. Justin and Nadia spent hours watching crime shows, thinking they knew how the police worked. They thought if they threw the gun and the phone in the river, the case would drown with them. But they forgot the human element. They forgot that guilt has a smell, and it was all over them the moment they walked into that interrogation room. Their overconfidence was their greatest weakness. They didn't realize that for every trick they learned from TV, the detectives had 20 years of real-world experience. They weren't playing chess. They were playing checkers against grandmasters.